Hey, Kelly, and welcome to my little speak sessions that I'm doing from my living room because I miss everybody and I miss being out in the world. And social media is great, but I really love having these one-on-ones. So thank you, Kelly. Kelly is a psychotherapist with serendipitous psychotherapy, right?
Correct. Yeah. Or now the basement of my home.
Exactly. Wherever it is, whether it's from your home or from your office, it is happening. And I would only imagine that your clients are calling you quite a bit. And the reason why I called on you today is because on my heart, teens and young adults are really, really, really on my heart, as are elderly. But I really wanted to speak to you today as a mother of a young adult. I have 3 young adults, but really my son, who's 21, and he's a rising senior. And the seniors are really what are hurting my heart right now, whether you're a senior in high school or a senior in college, and life just abruptly ended, and you didn't have time to even make even make a plan for goodbyes or for just wrapping up. Like there wasn't closure, and not to mention all the sadness of the celebrations like graduation and prom and job offers and internships and college acceptances that have gone now to just either not happening, most of them not happening, or not even to be able to be celebrated the way that they have always been known to be celebrated. And so now we're doing things virtually, and it's not the same for teens who are really struggling as a teenager to begin with. Add this to it and the anxiety. You know, we're in a mental health crisis to begin with, and now the anxiety is just so high. So I'm reaching out to you as a friend, as a mom, who you're homeschooling all of your kids, which I bow down to you, and psychotherapist, to say, what as parents can we do better and how can we help?
Great question. I know. And the reason I was so adamant about jumping on this conversation with you is because you're absolutely right. We are in a mental health crisis, and clients I haven't spoken to in years are reaching out and asking for tune-up sessions. And, you know, I'm going through my own stuff too. So, you know, nobody's ever done this before. So a lot of it is trial by fire, but I do know how to treat anxiety and depression. And so what my go-to is being able to hold space for these young people and to not wait until it gets too bad. I think oftentimes people are reaching out to me when things have spiraled out of control. You know, their child isn't leaving their room or they're crying all the time. And we really need to be proactive and really validate the feelings that they're having. Closure is a huge part of a process for all of us, no matter what age you are. And when you don't have an opportunity to do that, it can create a lot of unsettling feelings and a disconnect. And so, yes, social media and the way that we're connecting is really important, but also being able to process some of this and not just hold it in. And especially, I mean, you have a young man child. I have what do I call him? My man child, even though he's 14,
Right.
You know, and just checking in and having conversations about what they're struggling with. And, like I said, offering space to be able to process that.
Holding space. You know, I have a friend who lost a son to suicide many years ago who told me the greatest lesson he learned is to really sit with your child when they are in pain and not try to solve it or resolve it for them, but to really just sit there and be with them and allow them to speak and for you to listen. I think that is really where we are right now.
Thank you. I think so many of us, especially as parents, want to be problem solvers and don't want to see our children struggling or in pain and want to give them that graduation.
Right.
But we can't. And so oftentimes I do hear a lot of young people. I treat college age students in my practice. I work with adults. And a lot of times it's just, the response I hear from these young people is, I don't want my mom or dad to fix it. I want to be able to figure it out on my own, but
Right.
sometimes I just need them to listen.
Right.
And I think we as parents sometimes tap into our own anxiety of the uncomfortableness of it. And then we just project that onto them. So just be,
Well, right. We have to be careful for what we're showing, because no matter what we say, they're taking the cues from us as how we're acting and our actions.
absolutely. And also I am such a big proponent, as I know you are, of being able to move. I think even with so many restrictions on what we can and cannot do, being able to like go on a bike ride with your young person, or go for a walk, or take the dog for a walk. Or I joke with my family and say like it is like taking a dog for a walk. Like, got to take the kids for a walk. You just can shift people. You can feel people's mood shift and energy shift just by being able to move your body.
It makes such a difference, having just been in isolation for 18 days and really cooped up, because even after isolation, then we had other coronavirus cases in my family. So we've all been housebound because we can't be out because we're quarantined. And it really makes a difference when you can just even open a window and put your head in sunlight, if you can't leave the room. And for sure, I mean, when I first was able to go outside, same for my daughter, and my husband just came out of isolation today. It's really like, wow, just to move and be able to be in nature is an enormous gift that we don't even realize that we're missing until it's taken from us.
And that's where the gratitude comes in, right? The really simplistic foundational things that we oftentimes take for granted is so important to focus on right now.
So Kelly, when I read this to you, this was posted on a blog for Erika's Lighthouse, and this student, who's a senior, just tells his story so beautifully, but sad, obviously. And what he writes, I want you to say, what would you tell these teens that are feeling all these feelings? I think he just says it so eloquently. He writes, it doesn't seem fair and I'm mad. I haven't quite grasped the reality that I may have walked the halls of my high school for the last time. I may never see my teachers again or learn what faith my religious teacher follows. Some of my classmates I might not ever see again, as we all go our separate ways in the fall. Add to all of this disappointment, we are now on house arrest. We are finally 18. Most of us don't have curfews. We have cars, jobs, and money. We have a group of friends that we love spending time with, who will be going different directions in the fall. And now we have all this time on our hands, and we can't be together. With the bonus of technology, yes, thank goodness, it helps us stay connected, but it just isn't the same. We are nervous, we are mad, and we need our friends.
I have the chills.
I know. So it made me so sad, because I have one, he's not a senior in high school, but it's just hard. How do we help our kids?
Well, it's not fair. And to validate those feelings and to say, that you are feeling all the feelings, and to not try to find the silver lining for them. And this goes back to what we were talking about in terms of holding space for somebody, to validate those feelings, and maybe even not to turn it back on you, but to say, I feel badly for you as well. That is not fair. And there will be a time for people to have closure, whether it was leaving a job or school, on their own terms. It may not look the way we think that it is, but it is important to find some type of closure for yourself in terms of moving forward and being able to say goodbye. I do suggest a lot of people take notes and oftentimes when I tell young people or suggest that they journal, the automatic response is like, no, that seems like more homework,
Right.
you know, but like
Right.
bullet points, just looking at your calendar and being able to kind of track your mood and track some of the daily living skills that help enhance your mood, whether it's talking to somebody from school or showering or working out or doing
A simple
something.
shower. Yeah, a simple shower could really help. It always helps me.
A good meal, you know, I mean, it goes back to like, what are the basics? And when anybody is struggling with anxiety or depression, oftentimes the daily living skills are what's most affected, you know, what, how they're eating, how they're sleeping, irritability, components of just living in life on a day-to-day basis.
Right. I think that what's so interesting, what you said, is that everyone will have to have their closure themselves, and it won't look like what we've always known it to be. A big arena, a big celebration, a big lawn party, whatever it is for the celebration that you're having. But I keep seeing so many teenagers in parking lots sitting in their cars, like in the hatchback of their car, like they're tailgating, and they're sitting. And I think it's just so wonderful because it shows that you can't keep kids from, or any human, from connecting. And I think connection is the key. So we have to be creative. And yes, technology is great, but I would imagine that we also should be encouraging our teens and young adults to limit the screen time. I mean, my son the other day said, my brain hurts. I've been on my screen too long, because now they're learning on the screen and they're connecting on the screen. So how do we help them with that?
Well, I do encourage with social distancing that people, you know, no matter what it is, being able to congregate in a way that is safe and distance, but being able to see somebody and have time with them outside the home. We're physically distancing, but that doesn't mean we're emotionally distancing.
So as we close, as a mom and a psychotherapist and an all-around cheerleader for good news and life, who you are, what would you leave us with to just say, give some hope to some young adults who are really feeling like this could be the way of life?
Gosh, chills again. You do this to me every time I talk to you.
You're so funny.
Hope, hope, hope. Yes, it is the only thing that we can hold on to. And the mantra that I am practicing myself, that I share with other people too, is reminding ourselves, it is not going to be like this forever. And oftentimes when we go through difficult times, we can't see the light at the end of the tunnel because we're feeling so much of what's around us. So being able to tell yourself, I will get an opportunity to hang out with my friends again, or date, or have closure on that graduation, or the anxiety about, I don't know if I'm going to return to school, you know, in person in the fall, but being able to focus on, you know, it's a nice dance, being able to focus on what's right in front of you first and foremost, and then also being able to have some hope about the future.
Yeah, I think being present is the only thing we have right now. I also always say, focus on your story, tell your story, share your story. It's the one thing we can control. But I think being present is so important, because every time my family and I make a plan, there's like 700 things that come in the way of it, because we have no control over what's happening. I mean, we had to get from New Jersey to Chicago. We had people who were sick. We had, we had my mom who, there were so many levels to trying to figure out a plan, that we just were like, we'll just deal with it when we have to, because you make a plan and God laughs, right? So
absolutely,
being present is really, plus being present allows us not to focus on the anxiety of the future. So I guess that also helps.
Sure. And the reality, you know, there's always a flip side. It's like sometimes what's right in front of us is really uncomfortable. So being able to engage in some kind of meditation that takes you to a place of calm, you know, being able to listen. YouTube is such a great tool. Type in meditation, either guided or nature sounds, and being able to just sit and be present in that moment and remind yourself, at this moment, I am okay.
Well said. We'll end with that. I love your message. I thank you so much, Kelly, for Kelly Kitley, for taking time away from your very busy business of helping people in their own recovery, as well as homeschooling all your beautiful children.
Thank you.